Hey, Bastish B here for 64K and welcome to episode number 39 of Pop Culture Quick Bytes. And welcome back. On today's episode, we're going to have a look at a new release from Fusion Retro Books called 64 Dreams, released in July of 2025. And this book is a sequel to 64 Nightmares, which chronicles the worst Commodore 64 games ever released. 64 Dreams, on the other hand, is a celebration of the best of the best. Both these books were done by author Andrew Fisher, and he'll be joining us today, but I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello viewers, my name is Andrew Fisher, known online as Merman. I've been a Commodore 64 fan since 1985, and I've been writing about the computer and its games since 1993. I wrote for all 16 issues of Commodore Force as Professor Brian Strain. Since 2002, I've been a regular contributor to Retro Gamer magazine, and currently write the Homebrew column. I've contributed as writer and proofreader to multiple retro gaming books over the last 15 years, including co-writing Arcade Imperfect with Jerry Ellis.
And this book clocks in at about 270 pages and features about 124 Commodore 64 classic games. But before we go any further, let's take a brief look at the cover and the contents. This book covers games released in the original retail cycle from 82 to 94. It has a nice little foreword by C64 programmer Andrew Braybrook. Contents are broken down into 6 categories, which we'll be going through shortly. And the first thing I asked Andrew was to give us a little brief history on the origins of this book.
The original idea came from my friend and fellow retro gamer freelancer Graham Mason. During 2020, Graham devised ZX Nightmares, looking at the worst Spectrum games ever. Then in 2023, I asked Graham and Fusion for permission to write the Commodore equivalent, and so C64 Nightmares was published. Graham then followed up in 2024 with ZX Dreams, looking at the best Spectrum games ever, and so I was commissioned by Fusion to write C64 Dreams, which clocked up an amazing £40,000 on Kickstarter this year.
And now a quick word from today's sponsor. The Tegenaria Lite is the latest wired controller from Gamesir, a throwback to a PS1 90s design controller, with ultra-low latency, anti-drift hall effect sticks, 2 mappable back buttons, dual rumble motor support, and compatible with PC, Switch, and ISO and Android. It's extremely comfortable, nostalgic, and at an excellent low price point. Please check out the links in the video description to purchase one now, and I thank Gamesir for sponsoring this video. The setout for the entire book is identical for each game, with splash screenshots of the game and the original cover on the left hand side. Then on the right we got details like background history, facts about the C64 version, and percentages and scores from magazines back in the day. I then asked Andrew, were these lists made up of only the highest rated games from back then, or are personal choices in here as well?
The first step in choosing the games was looking at the top 100 lists from the GameBase 64 and Lemon 64 websites. That gave a very good list of classic titles, to which I added the highest rated games from the pages of Zap 64. Then it was very much a case of balancing the list between the different genres and often choosing games in a series that I felt were the best to cover. The final step was down to personal choice, but I wanted to reflect both the American and European developers as much as possible. Many good games just missed out, but it was kept to the commercial years of the C64 between 1982 and 1994. Ultimately, I would love to put together a separate book looking at the homebrew titles that have emerged since Commodore's bankruptcy.
I then asked Andrew if he went back and replayed all these games for this book.
Yes, I played all the games featured, as I wanted to get a fresh perspective, and it was necessary to take screenshots, especially for the book. Cover pictures were kindly used with permission from both GameBase 64 and Lemon 64. The biggest thing I found in going back to many of these games is the little details I'd forgotten, allowing me to write a more accurate review.
This book is broken down into 6 sections. Amazing Arcades features some of the best arcade conversions. Brilliant Budget highlights cheap games that went way beyond their price point. Lovely Licenses features not only movies, but books, comics, and even bands. Basically anything licensed. Superb Sports is obviously sports related, although this also includes racing and karate versus type games, for example. Outstanding Originals are games that had very clever concepts or very original ideas. And lastly is Simply Wonderful, which is my favorite section, featuring just plain excellent C64 titles that should not be missed. I then asked Andrew if it was even possible to tell us his personal top 3 C64 games, regardless of score.
In terms of picking a top 3, that can change constantly. I'm still discovering new games I had not played, can you believe it? My current top 3 would go like this. The Sentinel by Jeff Crammond, because I have such strong memories of going into town to buy it and being amazed by the 3D view of the world. And yes, it moves slowly, but for me, that is part of the challenge as you try to conquer the Sentinel in 10,000 different levels. Paradroid by Andrew Braybrook still has such a great atmosphere, from the sound effects to the different deck layouts to the brilliant computer displays detailing all the different robots. And probably my ultimate C64 game is Whizball by Sensible Software. Over the years I have formed the opinion that the C64 version, as the original one developed by John Hare and Chris Yates, is the definitive way to play Whizball. Superb graphics, amazing music by Martin Galway, based on guitar licks improvised by Chris for the Game Over and John, and of course that clever painting by numbers mixed with progressive shoot-'em-up gameplay. A truly outstanding original game that I still love.
My overall thoughts are that this is an excellent guide for newbies to the C64 as it offers so much information and great title suggestions. It's also not simply from a UK perspective and has some nice inclusions of many US games that I never see mentioned anywhere despite their absolute top quality. The 3-part info on each game is also informative without being overdone, giving you just the right amount of information to gauge whether it's something that you want to try out. And with 124 games covered, it makes it really well worth the price of admission. And my final question to Andrew was, how long did it take to put this entire book together?
When I first became aware that Graham was writing ZX Dreams, I approached him and Fusion to ask about writing the C64 version. Graham asked me to hold off starting until he had finished his book. It was only in December 2024, January 2025, that serious writing on the project began. The writing part took about 4 months. The book was in the final stages of preparation when we launched the Kickstarter in April, and it was a phenomenal response with over 1,200 backers and 40,000 pledged. So in total it have been nearly a year of work to bring the book to the public, with about 4 months devoted to writing the words. The easiest way to keep up to date with any developments is to subscribe to my mailing list at c64books.co.uk. That website will also have limited quantities of signed C64 Dreams and C64 Nightmares on sale for those who missed the Kickstarters. Both books without signatures will also be on sale through Fusion Retro Books.
And that's it. I hope you enjoyed that little look at 64 Dreams, a really cool book. I'll leave the links in the video description to buy one. I want to thank Andrew Fisher again for joining us and giving us some background information on the making of it.
Thanks to Bastich B for giving me this chance to talk about the books, and a big thank you to everyone that pledged on the Kickstarter. It is a real pleasure to find an audience for my writing, and I hope you'll continue to enjoy my writing in the future.
Thanks again for joining me, Bastich B at 64K. I hope you had a good time. And if you can please like and subscribe, they'll be greatly appreciated. And I'll see you next time. Cheers.